Hi, guys. Good morning. That's a mouthful, and I appreciate such a great introduction from Zach. What I basically do now is I work with schools and regulators and legislators to try and make sure that they understand what Dow's doing in the community. Okay, so that just real nuts and bolts. Before this job that I took in the spring, I was in government affairs. And for a lot of you, you probably are generally familiar with what government affairs does, right? We go and we talk to legislators, and we try and make sure that, in my case, that Dow's opinions and that Dow's feelings about things, or that our needs and certain laws and regulations are met. So I did that for a long time. As part of that, talked about manufacturing policy. Okay, so manufacturing policy sounds pretty dry. It sounds like, oh my Lord, I don't even know what she's talking about now. She's lost me 5 minutes in. Manufacturing policy is really a whole set of things that the government and states can do in order to make it possible for manufacturers to build a plant, to bring their products here, to start making things here. So what we do is we talk about all sorts of things. We talk about roads and bridges and ports and education and IT and energy and tax and trade and all sorts of things in order to try and set the table for manufacturing to come to dinner. Okay, so that's the easiest way to think about it. Now, your facilitators have asked me to come and talk about manufacturing. You guys, what is manufacturing, right? This is pretty basic. What's manufacturing? Go ahead. Yeah, absolutely. And you got the key parts. It's making something, converting raw material, so taking energy, some sort of, in my case, a chemical or a barrel of oil, and making it into something that's useful for a customer. And it meets the customer's expectations and meets their requirements. So what else is it? Uses a man-made machine, and it has a division of labor. What do we mean when we say division of labor? You ready? Go ahead. Yeah, kind of like an assembly line. So everybody has their own piece of the puzzle, their own thing to do in order to make that product from a raw material all the way out to what the customer wants to get. So if you think of it in a simple sense like a car, like Henry Ford, he starts with steel and rubber, and he has one guy that orders all the raw materials in. He has another guy that unpacks them. He has another guy that starts to form them and forge them. Another guy that assembles them, puts them together on down the line. That's what any manufacturing company, and frankly any company, does. So they have people that are experts in one particular area, and that's what they work on, so that when you put all of those talents and all those skills together, you get the raw material out that the customer is expecting. So what does manufacturing mean to you? Is this what it means to you? When you think of somebody that says, I'm in manufacturing, is this what you think? Do we think about 1800s factory children in factories, dirty, dingy? I don't know if you can see that. See the guy sitting up in that big piece of ironwork? That's a steel company, steel factory in the 1800s. Is that what you guys kind of have in your mind about manufacturing? Is that what you think? Or do you think something different? No? That's good. This is Dow's plant in 1930. Look at how different it looks. Smaller, right nestled up against the river. You guys have probably all been down to the Tridge, right? The Tridge would just be on the bottom of that picture. There was an old railroad line that went in there. They've ripped it up and made the nice bike trail, right? So that's what manufacturing looks like not quite 100 years ago. Here's some more pictures. This is kind of, honestly, this is what I think of when I think of manufacturing. I think of, smokestacks, steam. You can see them for miles on the horizon. You just kind of see them out there, right? This is what manufacturing is becoming. That's a Volkswagen plant in Germany. It's called the Transparent Factory. People can walk right outside of that big glass tube on the right-hand side and watch them put together Volkswagen vehicles. Cool, eh? That's one of the coolest things you'll see. And you can go online, when you guys start to do your research, you can go online and look up the Transparent Factory, and you can actually see it on YouTube. It's really quite neat. Here's some more. These are manufacturing plants. That's a panel factory in Iran, and there's a solar plant in Spain. So manufacturing has changed, right, over 100 years. And you guys will start to learn over the course of your project how much it's changed in 100 years, 200 years, when you start looking at pictures and start reading about the working conditions and the things that we're doing. Here's Dow's plant. This is what manufacturing is to me today. I've spent my entire adult career in manufacturing, starting with a co-op in college at Dow Corning, which is just another manufacturer down the road. Spent my entire career at Dow Chemical. Now you can see up top, the picture up in the top left is Dow Chemical's plant today. That's the Midland plant. You can see the river wind through there, and up in the top right of that picture are our big ponds. We have big cooling and settling ponds that we use in order to keep our processes under control. Down the bottom, that's kind of just a closer view of what you'd see if you were driving by the plant. Lots of pipes, lots of tanks, not what people traditionally think of as manufacturing. You can see on the right-hand side, you guys have probably all seen that off of US 10. So why should you care? Why do you guys all care about manufacturing? Do you care? Anybody care? Yeah? Come on. You gotta wake up. Yeah, you care? Why do you care? Yeah, absolutely. Oh, there you go. Yeah, so it has a direct impact on your family, right? Manufacturing. Look at some of the numbers. Now, I know you guys will probably glaze over after a couple of these, so I promise there aren't very many. But this is just to give you some sort of a framework for how you can think about manufacturing. If you spend $1 in manufacturing, you get $1 worth of stuff out of a manufacturing plant. You can create $2.30 in all the other industries that touch manufacturing. That's called a multiplier effect. So you create a pair of shoes for $1, say. You need people to truck that shoe around. You need storekeepers to sell it. You need people to work in the stores. You need people to maintain the stores and plow the parking lots. You need electricity to make all that happen. So it supports much more. It's called a heavy hitter when it comes to a part of the economy. It's called a heavy hitter because it creates so much output in other sectors. U.S. factories produce 75% of the product that you consume. So 75% of what you touch in a day, do in a day, wear in a day is made by U.S. manufacturers. That's huge, right? When you think about that, you can't go from morning till night without touching even something that my company makes, because we put chemicals in just about everything that you will touch in a day, including your MacBooks, by the way. In the U.S., manufacturing directly and indirectly accounts for 15% of GDP. You guys know what GDP is? No? Gross domestic product. It's sort of the sum total of everything the U.S. buys or sells in a year. Manufacturing is 15% of that number. And if you took all of manufacturing and that amount of stuff that they make, it is the world's 8th largest economy. Just U.S. manufacturing is the 8th largest economy in the world. That is a huge amount of output, and that's another reason that we ought to care about what happens to manufacturing. Nearly 25% of jobs in the private sector, so we're not talking about public sector like teachers or government employees. 25% of people that work in the private sector, as small or large companies, are linked back to manufacturing. So 1 in 4 of you guys who have a parent who's working right now that's not working for the government, 1 in 4 of you are linked to manufacturing. Manufacturing jobs pay better. Okay? Not necessarily the reason I found my way to manufacturing, but they do pay better, which is good for me. And it's good for the communities around our plants. And we spend $3 billion with small businesses. Companies like mine, we spend $3 billion a year with small businesses, keeping them afloat because they have the things that we need. In your lifetime, this is why you should care. In your lifetime, we have closed 42,000 factories in the United States. And 1/3 of all the manufacturing jobs are gone. 5.5 million jobs. Now, you think about how bad the economy is right now. We always talk about the unemployment rate and all of this. You think about if you added 5.5 million jobs back to the whole employment pool in the U.S., that unemployment number would drop by 2% overnight. Okay, so you should care. We should all care what happens to manufacturing because it impacts all of us. Now, this is my boss, my big boss. This is Mr. Liveris. He is an Australian from Australia. And he is quite an interesting guy. He's been talking, I don't know how to minimize this screen. He's been talking about the benefits of manufacturing and the importance of manufacturing for a long, long time. I just want you to listen to a video that he has. This is also what you can do about manufacturing. You're probably sitting there thinking, like, it's the 8th largest economy in the world. What in the world am I going to do in order to impact that, right? Well, Mr. Liveris is going to tell you how you can start to impact manufacturing, if I can figure out how to get it to go. Isn't it just a tap? It's a click on what?
It is no great secret that the quality of education in science-related fields is a matter of national concern. We lack interested students, and we lack inspired science teachers. The World Economic Forum ranks the United States 48th in the quality of its math and science education. And according to recent ACT reports, most U.S. high school graduates do not meet college readiness benchmarks. This is quite simply unacceptable. Intolerable, in fact, for a country that has vast human capital, unparalleled work ethic, and a will-do attitude. Here's the bottom line. Economic vigor and vitality is fueled by innovation. Innovation comes from a bright, inspired, technically superior workforce that fills the manufacturing pipeline and entices CEOs like me to build plants right here in the United States. Unfortunately, our talent pool is shrinking. In spite of incredibly high unemployment, we cannot find enough qualified people to fill jobs available right now. We need PhDs for our R&D labs. We need engineers for our plants. We need operators for our control rooms. And this situation is not unique to Dow. This situation hits at the heart of American manufacturing and the economic sustainability of our country. Manufacturing matters to the United States. It not only creates jobs, it creates the right kind of jobs, skilled jobs, high-paying jobs, jobs that make a true difference in our communities and to our economy. And it all starts with our education system.
So there's what you can do, right? Starts with you guys. We need you to start in classes and exercise like these to help tell us, this is more of a challenge this morning than I thought. I must not have had enough caffeine or something. Now, what did it do? I don't use a Mac at work. I will just confess right now. I am an IBMer. Yes, I am. We are a little old school. See, it keeps... Now, how do I maximize?
Oh, it's up here.
Oh, it's up there. Oh, gotcha. See, it's early for me too. All right, so what's your charge? So Mr. Liberis and others are standing up and speaking loudly. And let me tell you loudly. This man will pound on the table in front of the President of the United States and tell him, we need tax reform, we need trade, we need transportation, whatever it is. He has done it, and I've seen him do it. He's not the only one doing it. We have CEOs like Boeing and Intel and Apple and Ford that are all joining this effort in order to try and get people to really care about what happens to manufacturing because it matters. If there's one thing I want you to remember about this morning, it's that it matters. And you may not know a lot about it right now, and you may not really, in the final analysis, care all that much, but you need to understand that it matters. It matters to your country. It matters to your economy. It matters to you in your backyard because manufacturers are here to stay, hopefully. But we need changes in order to bring more manufacturing back and in order to keep the manufacturing we have. So our challenge right now at Dow is really to weed out the great ideas and take them forward. Okay, we take them forward in a lot of different ways. We have a lot of different groups of manufacturing CEOs that we talk to. We try and get them on board with what we believe to be the most important ideas to take forward to the legislators, to regulators, and that's a little bit different. We can talk about that later if that's not clear. And then even directly to the president, because our CEO and many CEOs like him across the country do have the ear of the president. We need your input. Okay, this is where you guys come in again. We need your input on which ideas are the most critical. So we need you to help us prioritize what the top 5 most critical issues are to bring manufacturing back to U.S. shores. So your charge is to write a white paper. We need you to identify your top 5. We need you to give us an example of where it has worked or it doesn't work in order to illustrate why you think that's a critical issue. Tell us how you think those top 5 are related. Because I will tell you that none of these improvements and changes that we're talking about can happen in a vacuum, and none of them will work the way we need them to work without working on other things as well, okay? So we got to kind of multitask and push a lot of balls forward at the same time. We need you to tell us which 5 those need to be. And then I'd like to hear from you guys, is there a case to bring manufacturing back at all? Do we want to be a widget manufacturing company? Do we want to be the company that puts together iPhones and iPads? Do we want to be a country that has great ideas and then ships them to China for them to make them? What kind of a country do we need to be when it comes to manufacturing? Is there an argument to let manufacturing go? Or is there a better argument to keep manufacturing here? And then we want you to make it personal. Why does it matter to you? Why does manufacturing matter to you? Does it matter to you because you use those products every day? Does it matter to you because you have a parent or an uncle or a grandparent that works in manufacturing? Does it matter to you because manufacturing supports the community where you live? Why does it matter to you? Now, the resources that you'll have, there's an email document that you'll get a copy of and is also available electronically. I believe you guys will have it on the servers, that has links to 7 different reports. Okay, we've got President Obama's Advanced Manufacturing Partnership Report. It's a long name to say it's the report that our CEO and many CEOs like him, along with some university presidents and some policymakers in Washington, D.C., have put together in order to give out their ideas for what they think are the most critical items. You've got Dow's Advanced Manufacturing Plan. That is a set of recommendations that Dow has put forward on our own that we think will make a difference in manufacturing if they were implemented. We also have 3 others, the Council on Competitiveness, the Jobs Council Report, and the Business Roundtable Report. Those are 3 groups that bring together CEOs of some of the biggest companies in this country in order to solve the biggest problems that the country is facing. They've all put out reports as well. The problem is that there are tons of recommendations across those 7 reports, and so we need you guys to kind of pick and look through those and talk about and figure out which out of all the recommendations in all those reports you think are the top 5. That's where prioritizing and really shuffling and sorting this is going to be your challenge. You're going to put it in, or the other resource you'll have, is a document that'll have tips to organizing a white paper. So I realize a white paper is maybe a bit of a different concept for some of you. Your teachers have a tips and tricks document on white paper. I don't know if they're going to use it the way they've got it, or they're going to make changes and give it to you later, but you'll put this in a white paper, and that's different than a research paper, and it's different than just a story and an opinion. Okay, a white paper is a document that business uses in order to make sure that we are organizing our thoughts, presenting our case with facts and recommendations in order to give to a senior leader who doesn't have time to do 6 months worth of research into an issue on manufacturing. Okay? So think of it as a way that you will distill all of what you've learned into a few pages with some recommendations. Here are the things that Dow needs to go do tomorrow to get manufacturing to come back, and here's why. Okay? So we really need you to focus in on that white paper. You'll learn more about the white paper as you go, but that's your deliverable, that's your end result here. And then you'll have an opportunity to ask any questions you have, either today or going forward. Your teachers know that I'm available and my colleagues are available. Anything you guys need, you just need to let me know. There is also, and I neglected to put it on there are copies here of our CEO's book. He created a book that's called Make It in America, where he lays out a case about bringing manufacturing back and what it's going to take in order to do that. So I encourage you to take a look at that as your teachers want to distribute that or leave it here. I'm not sure what their plans are for that book, but those are your resources going forward. So with that, I'm going to hand it back over to your teachers who are going to take you through the rest of this morning's agenda, and I will be around all morning for questions or for anything you guys need from me, okay? So thank you for your attention. I appreciate it.